The rain came down in thin silver lines, tapping gently on the school's windows. Inside, a bell rang, signaling the end of another ordinary day. Students poured out of classrooms, laughing, talking, rushing home. But Noah, 12 years old, quiet and thoughtful, lingered behind. He wasn't in a rush to go home. He never was. His foster parents weren't bad people. They gave him food, a bed, and clothes, but it never felt like home. There was always this invisible wall between him and them. Polite smiles, careful words, the kind of kindness that never reached the heart. He was used to it. He had been in and out of the system for as long as he could remember. And in all that time, there was one question that haunted him more than any other. Who am I really? That day, Noah walked home in the drizzle, his backpack bouncing against his shoulders. When he got inside, he dropped it on the kitchen chair, the same routine as always. But as it hit the seat, something inside made a small, crisp sound. He frowned. He hadn't packed any papers today. He unzipped the bag and reached inside, and his hand brushed something smooth and cold. He pulled it out. It was a photograph. Old, worn at the edges, its colors faded with time. A young couple sat on a park bench, smiling at the camera, the woman holding a baby wrapped in a blue blanket. Noah stared at it. Something about it hit him like a punch. The man's eyes, the woman's smile, the tiny blanket, blue with a stitched name in the corner. Noah. His breath caught. He turned the photo over. On the back, written in neat cursive, were the words, "Our little miracle. We'll find you again someday, Mom and Dad." Noah's knees went weak. He sank into the chair, clutching the photo to his chest, tears filling his eyes before he even understood why. "Mom? Dad?" he whispered. The room spun. How had this picture ended up in his backpack? He didn't remember putting it there. He checked every pocket, every book, every folder, but nothing else was unusual. When his foster mom came in from work, she noticed his pale face. "Everything okay, sweetheart?" she asked. He hesitated, then showed her the photograph. For a moment, she froze. Her smile faltered. "Where did you get that?" she said quietly. "I found it in my bag. Do you know who they are?" Her expression softened, but her eyes darted away. "No, honey, probably just something that got mixed up with the school supplies. Don't think too much about it." She tried to take it, but he pulled it back instinctively. "No," he said, This is mine." There was something in his voice, certainty, almost defiance, that surprised even him. That night, Noah couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the photograph resting on his chest. He traced his fingers over the faces again and again, searching for clues. The background showed a park, tall oak trees, a fountain, a red and white playground. He'd never seen that place before, but something about it felt, well, familiar. The next morning he made a decision. He slipped the photo into his pocket, packed a sandwich, and, after school, instead of going home, he took the bus across town. He didn't know exactly where he was going, just following a strange pull in his chest. After 3 stops, he saw it out the window. The fountain, the red and white playground, the same park. His heart began to pound. He got off the bus and walked toward the bench from the photo. It was still there, same shape, same chipped paint. He sat down, holding the photograph in his trembling hands. And then he heard a voice. "Excuse me?" He looked up. An older woman, maybe in her late 30s, stood nearby, holding a grocery bag. She was looking at him with curious eyes. "I'm sorry, that picture you're holding, may I see it?" Noah hesitated, then handed it to her. She looked at it and gasped. Her hands began to shake. "Where did you get this?" She whispered. "I found it in my bag. Do you know who they are?" her eyes filled with tears. "Yes, yes, I do." She sat beside him on the bench, clutching the photograph like it was something holy. "That's me," she said finally, pointing to the woman in the picture. "And that's your father." Noah stared at her, stunned. What do you mean?" She looked up, tears streaming down her face. "You're the baby, Noah." He blinked, trying to breathe. "But my parents, they said—" "I'm your mother," she said, voice trembling. "We lost you in an accident when you were a baby. A fire broke out at the shelter we were staying in. They told us there were no survivors in the nursery. I looked for you for years, but they said you were gone." Noah's vision blurred as tears welled up. "But I wasn't." She reached out, her hand shaking. "No, sweetheart, you weren't. Somehow you survived. Someone must have found you and never reported it." The photo trembled between them as she whispered, "I prayed every night that I'd see you again. I never stopped believing." For a long time, neither of them moved. The rain had stopped, and the late sun painted everything gold, the trees, the bench, the tears on her face. Then she did something that shattered what was left of his composure. She reached into her bag and pulled out her wallet. Inside, behind a faded ID, was a smaller folded photograph, torn at the edge, burned slightly, but unmistakable. It was the same picture, the same faces, the same baby. Half of the note on the back still visible, "Our little miracle." Noah covered his mouth, sobbing. She took his hand and pressed it against her heart. "Do you feel that? You've always been right here." Later, the police helped confirm it all. Old hospital records, birth certificates, and DNA tests, the story that once sounded impossible became real. The woman's name was Leila Carson. She had never stopped searching. And the day Noah found that photograph in his backpack, no one ever figured out how it got there. Some said maybe it slipped in by accident. Others said maybe it was fate or something greater. Leila didn't care about the how. She only cared about the who. And who stood before her now was her son, alive, grown, and finally home. That night, Noah sat in his new room, the one with blue walls and a window that looked out at the stars. On his nightstand was the photograph, now framed. He whispered softly, "Guess you really did find me, Mom." From down the hall, he heard her voice call, "Dinner's ready, sweetheart." He smiled, a real smile, full and bright, and whispered, "I'm coming home." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, do you believe things or people find their way back to where they belong? Because sometimes the things we lose are already on their way home.